Have you ever walked into a place and thought, wait, what year is this supposed to be? Across the United States, there are towns that still look and feel exactly like the late 1950s and 1960s, as if the modern world simply missed the turnoff. From neon-lit motels and retro barber shops to untouched main streets, these places didn't freeze by accident. Their stories are far stranger. We'll start with the least time-warped, and end with the most surreal. 10. Mount Airy, North Carolina. The real-life Mayberry that never moved on. Mount Airy is the kind of town that makes you do a double take. Like, am I inside a 1960s sitcom right now? And technically, yes, this is the hometown that inspired Mayberry from the Andy Griffith Show. And instead of running from that comparison, Mount Airy leaned all the way into it. Replica sheriff squad cars still cruise the streets. A real barber shop looks like it charges 50 cents. Storefronts display hand-painted signs that haven't changed since black and white TV was normal. The town didn't preserve this look because it was stuck. It preserved it because nostalgia pays the bills. Andy Griffith grew up here, and local leaders realized a brutal truth. Tourism dollars beat modernization, so instead of tearing down old brick facades, they protected them. Instead of sleek signage, they kept narrow 1960s-style storefronts. Mount Airy didn't get trapped in the past. It monetized it, and it works. But if Mount Airy feels like a sitcom, the next town feels like a movie set someone forgot to dismantle. 9. Granville, Tennessee. The scripted 1960s town that feels too perfect. Granville looks almost fake, like it was built for a Hallmark movie and everyone forgot to leave. Rocking chairs on porches, main street festivals, retro signage that looks artificially aged, but isn't. Granville didn't choose to stay small. It got stranded. After the mid-century boom faded, businesses closed, people left, and the pressure to modernize disappeared. Ironically, that saved the town's appearance. When leaders realized they couldn't compete with larger cities, they pivoted. If they couldn't modernize, they'd romanticize. They built heritage tourism from scratch, classic car shows, themed weekends, and period-correct storefronts. Locals maintain interiors like curators guarding a time capsule. Granville isn't just old, it's carefully curated, but while Granville staged the 1960s, the next town froze because everything collapsed around it. 8. Jerome, Arizona, the artist colony that saved a ghost town. Jerome was once a booming copper town. Then the mines closed in the 1950s, and the place nearly died. Buildings leaned downhill, houses crumbled, Main Street emptied. Then the artists arrived. In the 1960s and 70s, painters, musicians, and free spirits moved in, drawn by cheap rent, beautiful ruin, and zero rules. They didn't tear buildings down. They repaired them just enough to survive. The result, 1910 brick buildings covered in 1960s murals. Old mining offices turned into studios. Nothing remodeled, just repurposed. Jerome wasn't preserved by nostalgia. It survived by accident, but the next town took that energy and fused it with cowboy history. 7. Bisbee, Arizona, a time capsule trapped inside a canyon. Bisbee feels like a Western movie where a group of 1960s hippies wandered onto the set and never left. The town sits in a narrow canyon, so tight that modern development is almost impossible. No strip malls, no big box stores, just steep streets, neon signs, and century-old hotels. When mining declined, artists and retirees moved in, preserving the town's eccentric character. The Copper Queen Hotel became the heart of local tourism, anchoring everything in place. Bisbee couldn't sprawl outward, and it didn't want to build upward, so it stayed visually locked where mid-century America left it. Visitors call it a 1960s Western with espresso machines, and they're not wrong. Now let's trade deserts for beaches. 6. Saugatuck, Michigan, the 1960s beach town that refused to grow up. Saugatuck feels like your grandmother's vacation photos, in the best way possible. Low-rise motels still glow with neon signs from the early 60s. Waterfront shops sell ice cream and postcards. Everything moves slowly, deliberately. Unlike many resort towns, Saugatuck never embraced high-rise condos or mass tourism. Its identity formed in the mid-century: artists, galleries, festivals, and small independent businesses. The skyline barely changed in 50 years. It's colorful, it's mellow, and it's incredibly camera-friendly. But the next town looks like a road trip froze overnight. 5. Seligman, Arizona, Route 66, perfectly preserved. Seligman is a 1960s road trip movie brought to life. Classic cars permanently parked outside diners. Neon signs sun bleached by the desert. Motels still advertising. Color TV. This wasn't preservation by choice. When the interstate bypassed Seligman, traffic vanished overnight. No money meant no modernization. Owners simply repaired what they already had. Then Route 66 nostalgia exploded. Suddenly, old was valuable. Businesses leaned in. Some even parked vintage cars outside purely for photos. The town itself became the marketing. Seligman is mid-century Americana distilled into one surreal street. But the next town feels old and mid-century for a different reason. 4. Galena, Illinois, the town that accidentally skipped urban renewal. Galena's main street feels like a sepia postcard. Its 19th century brick buildings survived, but the way they were used in the 1950s and 60s never changed. Why? Because Galena skipped America's post-war urban renewal era. While other towns bulldozed downtowns for malls and highways, Galena didn't, not out of vision, but timing. Tourism arrived just early enough to make preservation profitable. Today, filmmakers love Galena because it can pass for almost any historic era without modification. The town looks like it held its breath for 60 years, and never exhaled. Now let's jump to suburbia. 3. Eichler neighborhoods, Palo Alto, California. Mid-century modern, frozen in place. Flat roofs, glass walls, clean geometric lines, carports that look futuristic even today. These are Eichler homes, mid-century suburban experiments preserved almost perfectly. Neighborhoods like Greenmeadow and Green Gables are protected by historic designation. Tear downs are discouraged. Remodeling is tightly controlled. Greenmeadow alone has over 240 single-story Eichler homes built in the 1950s. Walking these streets feels like stepping into a 1965 magazine spread. But some places are frozen not by design, but by law. 2. Historic district towns across America. Preserved by bureaucracy. This isn't one town, it's a category. Across the U.S., over 2,300 historic districts legally restrict changes to buildings, streets, and facades. In some towns, one historic property exists for every 80 to 150 homes. You can't tear down, you can't build up, you can't modernize quickly, so entire neighborhoods move through time at a crawl. These places aren't stuck by nostalgia or collapse. They're frozen by policy. In the ultimate example, 1. Savannah, Georgia, the policy-engineered time capsule. Savannah's historic landmark district is the largest of its kind in the United States. Over 40% of its 2,500-plus buildings are officially protected. Height limits, design review boards, strict facade rules. Savannah didn't accidentally freeze in time, it engineered it. Tourists loved the moss-draped oaks, brick squares, gas lamps, and old world atmosphere. So the city doubled down, not just for history, but for revenue. Today, Savannah feels like a living movie set stretching for miles. America isn't just changing, it's also quietly not changing, in hundreds of hidden pockets across the map. Some towns froze because money ran out, some because artists saved them, and others because nostalgia pays better than modernization. Wherever you go, the past is closer than you think. I'll keep finding the world's hidden corners. You just have to subscribe to come along.